Welcome back to Sunrise. We're talking about the feud between Lekki Estate and ASCON Fuel Station. We understand that the residents of Lekki Estate, they do not want this ASCON Fuel Station resident in that area. And I'll just run you through the background of what's been going on. In line with the master plan of Lekki Peninsula Scheme 1, a reputable oil company, ASCON, acquired a plot of land for the construction of a filling station. Now, the company ensured that it went through the necessary procedures to acquire the land and also got all approvals needed from state government. The station location is also the officially designated location in the master plan for Lekki Phase 1. So ASCON is supposed to be going ahead with what is already in the master plan. Now, concerns were being raised by some residents, like 6 in number. They wrote a petition to the Lagos state government to stop the construction of the fuel station, thereby depriving other residents of their right to convenience. A lot has been said about this, but we have Mr. Nelson Ekujumi, a member Consumer Rights Advocacy Network, in the studio. He's going to be talking to us about what he understands, how he understands the problem, and he will be explaining to us what the real issues are and why, these people are raising concerns about ASCON's presence in Lekki Phase 1. Thanks a lot for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning.
What can you tell us about this problem, really?
Okay, the issue really is that as a consumer rights network, we advocate for the rights of the consumers because, in any business, the consumers are king. They use their money and they deserve to get the best. They should not be shortchanged in any form. That is what we do. We are like the busybody people that, want to make sure that the consumer rights are protected, even though we have statutory organs. But like you know, a lot of our people tend to suffer in silence. So what has happened in this matter is that we understand that there is a master plan for Lekki Phase 1. And in that master plan, there's a provision for the building of a filling station. And when the company that got that land wanted to start work after getting all the necessary papers, and don't forget, to build a filling station is not only about getting approval from the state. You have to get approval from the Department of Petroleum Resources, which is a federal government agency. After getting all the papers, they move to site to start work. Unfortunately, some residents, please let me correct that word, you said the residents, it's not the residents, some residents, okay. Just about 6. Because
I mentioned the number.
Because we are privy to a research that was carried out in which about 60% of the residents were in support of the filling station. And in that research, we also got to know that some people were indifferent, while some are against. But our concern is that, like J.S. Stuart Mills, the philosopher, we believe so much in the utilitarian principle that the greatest happiness for the greatest number. The number of people that want this filling station are more than these 6. These 6 do not constitute the majority in the estate. And our concern is that there are so many businesses in that estate. There are churches, there are supermarkets, there are schools, there are small businesses that deserve the convenience that this filling station will afford the residents of the estate.
These 6 people, they are residents too, right? And they have a right to air their opinion.
Definitely.
But what were the problems, the challenges that were outlined to you?
The challenges that we got to know that they have outlined is environmental nuisance. That this filling station
in what sense?
That this filling station will bring in unwanted visitors into the estate. In as much as their concerns are very, very genuine, I know that the issue of security, like we rightly say every now and then, is a collective responsibility. If you say the filling station will bring in unwanted guests, how about the supermarkets? How about the barber's shop? How about the tailor's shop?
But you know that there's a tendency when you create a corner shop, in a manner of speaking, you create a mini supermarket within a community, there's a tendency for you to know that you're targeting those within that community.
Yes.
You cannot put in an estate a shop and expect that people will come from Mushin to come and buy inside that estate.
Definitely.
It's extremely unusual.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you put a petrol station
Yeah.
inside an estate,
Yeah.
there is a tendency for people from outside of that small community coming in there. Isn't that the fact?
Yes, that is a fact. But the issue on board now is that is the provision for the siting of the filling station in the master plan or not?
Oh, so it was in the master
It's in
plan
the master
that
plan
there will be
that there
a
will be
petrol station.
a petrol station for the convenience of the residents. Don't forget, that estate is not a residential estate in totality, because we have residential and commercial tenants there. So there are people who have businesses that want to, maybe buy 2 liters of petrol, like your organizer, who cannot afford to buy 200 liters, like the barber who wants to buy 4 liters of petrol. We must afford them the convenience of getting their petrol close by.
Without traveling far.
Without traveling far because of the risk to life. Because I have witnessed the situation whereby when somebody was on an Okada, and that was during the fuel scarcity, and they were coming, I don't know where they are coming from, they had this 4-liter jerry can, they fell down the expressway, the fuel poured on them, and they were both burnt. So we must, in as much as the concerns raised by some of these residents are very, very genuine. Because like we say in democracy, the majority will have their way, but the minority must have their say.
Okay.
So the concerns raised by these residents are very genuine, but there are organs of states that are saddled with that responsibility. I'll give you an example. In my area where I live, there was a time we had this beer parlors. We had about 2. And people were raising concerns about those beer parlors that it will bring in armed robbers. I said, well, if we have a plan that should not allow this, we can argue it out. But if there's a plan that allows this, what we can only do is to work in alliance, work in solidarity with the owner of the beer parlors that, look, this your beer parlor will endanger our security. How do you guarantee us? And believe you me, within ourselves, we had a meeting, and we told the guy that, look, we have one security guard guarding our streets. You have to contribute your quota to secure us the more. And what happened? The guy provided 2 extra. So I think it is important for us to realize that once there's a master plan, it is imperative on us to observe it.
So that master plan, does it include just one petrol station
Yeah.
within the Lekki,
Within the estate, yeah.
Lekki estate?
Yeah.
Only one
Only
petrol
one,
station?
yeah.
So what was the process of selecting that one to be ASCON?
Well, I don't know the process they went
Okay,
through.
but they've got that.
They got
now,
the rights.
what is the status of this conversation or this frustration or disagreement by those members of the estate or residents?
The status now is that the case, they also went to court, and they wrote petition to the state government, the department, the Ministry of Urban and Physical Planning, and right now the project is stopped, and we observe that it is causing inconvenience to the vast majority, because you might be wondering that what is our concern. I told you earlier on, we are busybody. We are interested in the greatest happiness of the greatest number.
Okay.
We are privy to a research in which over 60% of the residents want the estate, and it is imperative that
So did you secure a signature of the 60% of the residents? Let's assume, for example, that Lekki estate has 100 people in there. I'm sure it's more than 100. But if you have 100 people in that estate and 60% of them say, we want the petrol station to be there, maybe another 10 or 15 say, we really don't care less whether it's there or not, then that forms a critical mass that should influence the decision of the state government, shouldn't it?
Yeah, of course.
So why is this still being stalled
because
by the
there's
government?
a case in court. Because there's a case in court regarding it, and it behoves on us if we want to earn our respect, if we want to portray a good image of ourselves because the world has become a global village. And mind you, we always have our governments mouthing, calling for foreign direct investment. If you change the rules when the game is on, you discourage other people from coming in to establish, because it will be as if your state is a jungle where you don't have rules that you observe.
I mean, see, it shows here, just reading through the last court case, that Justice Kazim Alugba had on March the 6th granted an interim order stopping further construction activities until the suit was determined. Have you heard, has anything happened?
I think the case is supposed to come up this June, but I don't know the dates. And you know, one of the purpose of law or the judiciary is to mitigate against crisis, so that you don't want, at the end of the day, if the filling station is constructed without the necessary approval, so that the people who are aggrieved won't feel shortchanged. So that is why the court
exactly. But do you think that was a fair judgment, though, seeing that we have just six over the rest of the population of the area?
The judge won't have the data of the residents who are complaining. Once you have a local standing, because you are a resident, you have a right, because your privacy is affected in that estate. So you have a right. That is what the judge has looked into. The judge has not yet looked into the merits or the merits of the case. So, but what we are saying is that the judge, as far as I'm concerned, is on course. We should, because we should, whether we like it or not, if we want an orderly society, we should, give the judiciary the benefit of that to do that which is right. And for us, we are very much in tandem with the decision of the courts, but we just want to put the matters or the facts straight, that this is what is happening, so that Nigerians themselves, can see a situation whereby the minority wants to have their way in a society.
And moving forward now, how do you see this resolved? Do you think ASCON, in the end, the petrol station will be built, or do you think it won't be? Because, of course, we have to respect what the 6 residents who are protesting against.
Yeah.
How they feel about it.
Yeah. I don't know tomorrow. So you shouldn't ask me what I feel will be the outcome. But I believe...
Obviously, you laying out all those facts.
Yeah.
And the fact that 60% of the population, they're supporting this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a stand and look, this should be done.
This should be done, yeah, definitely.
So what if it's not done? Would it change anything in the area?
Well, what will happen is that the vast majority of the people will be greatly inconvenienced, and it will portray us as a lawless country, that we don't observe the rules that we ourselves have made, because there's a master plan, and the provision for the siting of the filling station is in the master plan. So it is not when the master plan is about to be implemented that you now stop a particular project. We could have asked, why didn't you stop the housing projects of the residential tenants there? So it will show us as being unfair to the vast majority of the people, because our concern is with the greatest happiness of the greatest number. And like I said, the vast majority of the people in that estate want that filling station, and it will be over on us if we are really practicing democracy, because democracy is about numbers.
Yes, it's a game of numbers.
Yeah.
But in view of that, though, when you mentioned that, the thought crossing my mind is that what effort is being put in place to ensure that 60% or more people within that community are adequately represented and their voices are heard in court to ensure, to help in the processing of the case, in advancing the course of this ASCON petrol station to be built within Lekki Estate?
The only instrument that the 60% who want the petrol station, the only forum that their voices can be heard is through the master plan.
But they didn't create the master plan.
If the master plan was created by the government. But you know, when at least when the case will come up fully in court, the judge will look at it, that this thing is in the master plan. So the master plan of the estate is their voice. They don't have to come to court and say, no, we want it to stay. What they will see is just like you, when your fundamental right is being infringed on. The Constitution is your weapon. That it is in the Constitution that I have a right to live. So nobody has the right to terminate my life. I don't have to come and shout, don't terminate my life. If you want to terminate my life, the Constitution makes it a criminal offense. So the instrument the majority of the people there have to counter these 6 is the master plan of the estate, so which I know the judge will look at.
Well, all right. So then it looks like a done deal, is it? If the master plan proves that the filling station is supposed to be there, and then the judge who is clearing this case sees it also, it might look like a win situation for the 60%.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
So you're very optimistic when this happens?
Yes, because one thing about we human beings is that our living is based on hope. We don't know tomorrow. That I'm here today is by His grace. And I'm hopeful that I'll wake up and see tomorrow. That's so right. We're optimistic. Thanks a lot, Mr. Nelson Ekujumi, a member of Consumer Rights Advocacy Network, speaking about the Lekki estate ASCON Feud situation Feud. Thanks a lot for coming on the program. Thank you very much. Well, Sunrise will be back in just a moment. We have more issues to talk about. Yeah. Stay with us.